We preview Auburn's matchup with the ULM Warhawks on this live edition of the Uptempo Podcast. Yes, sir. Uptempo gang, Auburn family, welcome to the Uptempo Podcast. I'm your host, Dustin Smith, joined as always by my guy, Blake Lane. We missed you guys Tuesday night. Sorry about the technical difficulties. We are definitely happy to be back talking some Auburn football. Blake, I never thought I'd be saying this at the start of the season. We're facing off with the Louisiana Monroe Warhawks this weekend, and it's a must-win, brother. It's a must-win for the program. It's a must-win for the Hugh Freeze era, huh?
Yeah, I don't think you can. I don't think you can lose this game, Dustin. If you lose this one, I think there needs to be a conversation, a serious talk. If you lose to Louisiana Monroe, that would put Louisiana Monroe and New Mexico State on your resume, and then also a loss to Vandy on your resume as the head coach at Auburn. I don't know, y'all. I don't think it happens, but this is a must-win. You cannot lose this game. I think Auburn wins this game, but there's question marks in Week 10 of the season. There are question marks at quarterback in Week 10 of the season.
Yeah.
What we were trying to talk about Tuesday night, folks, was, well, 1 minute Peyton Thorne's okay. The next minute he's not. The next minute he's back at practice. The next minute he's not. He has not come far enough along for you to feel great about it. We're in Week 10, y'all. We're in Week 10. It's getting a little exhausting. It's getting exhausting. It's getting old. Look, if you're going to go with Hank, announce it and just go with Hank. I'm tired of the flip-flopping back and forth. It's ULM, y'all. And we're a 24-point favorite. 24 points over ULM. That's laughable. That's not Auburn. That's not what Auburn football should be. End of story. You got to go out and win this football game. Try to keep your bowl eligibility alive. I don't think you're going to a bowl, but you would at least have the option for your next two games to be big-time games. Because if you lose to ULM, I don't think anybody's showing up for Texas A&M.
Right.
Why would they? Coach might not even show up. I don't know.
Yes. That's a fact, Blake. ULM started off the season hot. They started off 5-1. They've lost 3 in a row. They're down to 5-4. They're just struggling. They're just struggling to move the ball. They started the season out with General Booty at quarterback. They've tried Hunter Herring. They're trying Aiden Armada. I watched a little bit of their game last week, Blake. They got guys running wide open and they can't find them. So they have a solid defense. They play hard for their coach kind of thing. But, like, this is a game where if Auburn just turns around and hands the ball to their running backs, they should be able to grind out a win and over 4 quarters pound ULM down and win a 28, 35-10 type game, because I don't see any real world where Louisiana Monroe is able to score on this Auburn defense. Yep. But I can see the world where Auburn just can't move the ball, and it's not because I have this big faith in Louisiana Monroe's defense. They're a solid unit, but just talent-wise, obviously, stacking Auburn's roster against theirs, you should be able to do whatever you want on offense. But what are we doing on offense? I mean, it's getting worse by the week. You shorten the playbook, and yes, it turned down on the turnovers, but you haven't been able to move the ball, so you kind of canceled that out. It's just been a mess, man. I think for Hugh, you got to come out. Listen, if you come out and win this game 42-10, is it really going to mean a whole lot? No. But it will mean something if you win it 21-13. People are going to go, my goodness, what's going on over there? Obviously, a ton of questions arise if you lose it. So, there's not a whole lot to gain from a big win, but it's really the only option you have. You need to come out if you're Hugh, and you need to win this game handily. And it doesn't. Me and you talked about this before we hit record. What scares me to death is this being a close game in the second half at home. I just have no faith in this head coach in Jordan Stadium in a tight game right now, even versus ULM.
I think pressure would start to seriously mount.
Yeah.
Not only just on the coach, I think the players would start looking around, going, "Hey, man, is this happening again? Like, are we about to go through what we went through last year? Is it happening all over again?" I don't think that happens, y'all.
Yeah.
But your point about what does Auburn do on offense, is this a save Cam Coleman and Perry Thompson game or something like that, where against Vanderbilt it kind of felt like it was, hey, let's push Jarquez to the side, let's give Da and Cobb their carries, and it was just like you were never in rhythm, you were never in sync. What was the offensive game plan for Vanderbilt? Do you get one of those performances this Saturday? And I'm with you. Like, your performances at home, where it should be locked down, you should protect your house in Jordan-Hare Stadium. It has been below average as Auburn's head coach. Below average. It has just become a place where people come to expect to win. That Oklahoma post. Do you remember that post where the guy was like, "Yeah, I brought my son, man. Great people, great place to be at. It was just so fun getting to watch Oklahoma win." And I'm like, what has Jordan-Hare turned into? It's just like happy place where visitors come in and they're just, "Oh my God."
Had a great time.
It's crazy, man. And I was telling you the other night, Auburn football feels like it is the Titanic. And what I mean by this, y'all, is when Auburn kicks off, it is like they are on the voyage across the Atlantic and it's smooth sailing. That water is just slick as a baby's ass. All right. And then all of a sudden, after that halftime performance, they come out in that third quarter and there's the iceberg. And they slap, dab right into it. And that baby sinks quick. And that's where we're at right now. We're at the bottom of the ocean, the bottom of the Atlantic, Dustin, because that's how bad it's been. You look great. You look like world beaters for 2.5 quarters. And then you come out and you find a way to screw it up. And that's what it feels like, man. It's just, it's tough. And kudos to the staff though for being able to keep this class together. I know you lose a guy in Dante, and then you flip a guy from USC, and there's still some excitement around recruiting, and Deuce gets on Twitter and says "War Damn Eagles," so that kind of eases people up, and they're like, "Oh my God, is he flipping?" Yada yada yada. Kudos to them for that. I don't know how they're doing it. I got a clue, but
TV.
Yeah, like incredible job there. But y'all, recruiting is a massive thing when it comes to what goes on the field. All right, recruiting is massive for that. But that talent has to be coached. It has to be developed, and we got to change something. We got to get it going, man. I don't know. I'm tired of hearing. I can't remember who it was in my mentions the other day, but if they watch, I'm sorry, your name slipped my mind. But he was saying, like, have you ever seen a boss just constantly, every single day, talk about how bad his employees are, and his employees are the reason why his business isn't successful? And it's never his fault. It's always the employee's fault. But he doesn't want to go out and find new employees and all this. Like, it's just, stop blaming everything on everybody else and take some heat for once.
If we were the Titanic, Blake, maybe let Towns Magoo drive the ship for a little bit, and he'll miss that iceberg to the left. and and
Wouldn't even come close to hitting no
he would
iceberg.
not. I promise you, he would not. We would might arrive safe. Yeah, man, it's just a big time win or a big time game. And Blake, I'm gonna get onto the keys of the game, and you
Yeah.
kind of you hinted at it there. To me, my keys to the game, and I think y'all can all pick up what's being put down here. Throw the ball to Cam Coleman and Perry Thompson at least 5 times each. This is a game where it needs to happen. You got to get these guys involved, especially Perry, and you got 3 games left to do it. And it's just you can't afford to lose these guys, and it would be a PR nightmare. On top of like their really talented receivers that I think are going to develop into really good players.
Yeah.
This year just hasn't it just hasn't gone the way anybody wanted it to on offense, and we all know about them asking Perry to redshirt, him saying no, all that. So for me, man, the keys to this game.
I'm sorry.
No, no,
man.
yeah, for sure, for sure. There's no telling where it would land. There's no telling, man. Yeah, we got to feed. I would like to see the young guys get involved, and you mentioned the quarterback situation there. I don't expect Peyton to be the guy. I think that Hugh coming out yesterday and saying that he was not ready to go in practice. He said that yesterday on a Wednesday. Well, you got today, you got the a walkthrough. Like there's no more padded practices left. Like you're out of time here. And then Hugh also talked about having to consider the big picture, and I think that was code for saying like, hey, I got to see what we got here in Hank Brown. So I fully expect it to be Hank Brown to be the starter Saturday, and just based off of the context clues and everything with that. And then I'll say this, Blake, my hope is you bust off some big runs. Maybe you make some big plays on a ULM defense that you just have better athletes than. You're up by 30-something points going into the fourth quarter, and we get to see the Walker White debut and get him on the field and get him a little action too. That would be the ideal situation. Look, Auburn's not going to take a whole lot out of it. Like I said, you don't have a whole lot to gain even from a big win. But if you got it, but say you won this game 45-10, and you got Walker White some reps in the fourth, and Perry Thompson had a touchdown and 4 or 5 catches, and Cam Coleman was involved and all that kind of stuff. Maybe Jeremiah had some runs. I think everybody would be like, okay, here we go. You feel a bit better now about those situations. So there are some things to gain on that end. And those are my keys to the game. And it's some of these guys that you might, because Hugh's been open. He's saying, I'm having to re-recruit some guys right now. And I don't think you have to have any kind of inside intel to guess who some of those guys could be. So let's feed those guys, and let's get some of these young cats that haven't been involved. And then, if I don't know, guys like Philip Bleedy hasn't done anything wrong, but if there's one of these younger guys down there on the D line that maybe haven't got as many reps, maybe get him some more reps, because we're just at that point. This is just what it is at 3-6, and I hate that it's there, and I hate it for those older guys. But if you're trying to take something into the offseason, to me, you got 3 games left. This is the last game that you're favored in of those 3, so take advantage of that and get everybody involved that you can.
Yeah, I'm there with you, man. Play the young bucks, Bryce Kane, play them all.
Yeah.
Play them all. Get them out there. Let's see what we got. Let's see what toys and gadgets we got. Let them eat it up. I'm okay with, even if you get up a little bit, throw Walker in there. Let him get some snaps. See what he's got. See how he reacts. I would rather him play Saturday than play against A&M or Alabama.
Yeah.
What's it going to hurt? You're not going to kill his red shirt. That's what you want to save, so let him play. Same way with defense, man. You see those young guys that are out there. Hey, put them all out there. I'm to the point where if you get a lead, put all the freshmen and sophomores out there. There's no more hope to this season for me. I told you 6-7 weeks ago that this team was going to be 4-8. I got a little excited after Kentucky, but I got the TikTok to prove it to you. I said we're getting clocked by everybody. 4-8. That's, as a matter of fact, that's even what I captioned the video when I posted it to TikTok. I said this team's going 4-8. And so there's no more hope to the season. And no, I don't want to see Peyton Thorne ready for Texas A&M and Alabama. I would rather see Hank Brown play in those games because I know what I'm going to get from Peyton, and that's going to be 2 L's. So why do I want to see that anymore? It's over. It's done. Hey, thank you for coming to Auburn, man. Thank you for picking Auburn. We appreciate it, but it just didn't work out. And that's how it goes sometimes. That's sports. That's life. Sometimes you might take a job and it not work out, and you might go back to the old job. Whatever. It's just that's how life goes. So I don't want to see that. I would rather see us move forward with Hank. I do think Hank starts, and I think Auburn. I think they win the game, Dustin. I'll put it to you like that. I think they win the game. By how much, I don't even know. I'll wait for score predictions.
Yeah, and go ahead.
No, I was just saying I got to scramble a score up for ULM because that's how bad we suck.
Yeah, man,
And I'm sorry too that we don't get on here and push this BS of just how Auburn can do this and how Auburn can do that. Auburn's not doing anything but losing. And I'm tired of it. I'm just I step away from Twitter sometimes because I see that people are like, oh man, Auburn can Auburn can do this Saturday and this, and there's still a chance to go to a bowl game. No, there's not. There's not. Alabama is in a freaking groove. Do you really think we can walk into Tuscaloosa and
Yeah.
stop Jalen Milroe and how Alabama's playing right now? No, no. They found themselves. They lost themselves. They got off track. Now they're back. And they're winning games. Are we beating A&M? Is our offensive line going to stop A&M's front? No. No. It's not happening. It's been a rough season, Dustin, and it's hard, man. It's hard to get on here and continuously talk about football. I know I love it. I know y'all love it. I know Dustin loves it. But I never want to say this, but Auburn cares more about basketball right now. And it's the truth. I don't think we're a basketball school, but I think the fans care more about basketball because we win in that. We beat top 5 teams in that.
Well, we talked about this earlier, Blake, before we were started going. When the game was down last night, when the game got close, the basketball game versus Kent State, it got to 4 points.
Yep.
Me and you text back and forth for like we're good. Like there was never a concern that Auburn was going to lose that basketball game, and that's because you have faith in the system, you have faith in the program, you have faith in the head coach that you're going to win this game. I mean, hell, was that the 55th or 56th non-conference home win in a row?
Yep.
Like, yeah, that's handling your business. That's beating who you're supposed to beat. That's doing what you're supposed to do. That's an incredible stat, man. Like, just the consistency of that, like never having a slip up when you shouldn't.
True. And let me tell you this. I've really been thinking about this one too. All right. Our basketball team takes off for Houston last Friday. They get into a fight in the middle of the air. All right. Middle of the flight, 45 minutes in, they get into a fight. They have to turn the plane around, go back and land, and then they proceed to take 2 separate planes to Houston. And they get there, and then they wake up Saturday. They wait all day, and then they go out and whoop some ass Saturday night. While the entire country, every major news outlet ran that story and blew it out of proportion.
Good Morning America, Blake.
Yeah, blew it out of proportion. The same day Todd Golden's story come out.
Yeah.
We're worried about 2 college kids.
Yeah.
Right, fighting on a plane. Now, my point. What do you think would happen if Auburn football got 30,000 feet up in there, got into a fight, had to turn around and go back to Auburn, and then get to where they had to go, on a late Friday night, wake up Saturday and play. Would you believe Auburn football had a fighting chance on that Saturday? No. No, you wouldn't. Because guess what? I never doubted the basketball team. I said, hey, man, I hate that we lost those two guys, but I don't doubt them. We can still win. I'm not saying that with Auburn football. And what's crazy to me, Dustin, is Bruce Pearl. This is how different it is, too, is Bruce Pearl gets up in the interview and he says, hey, look, man, it was an unfortunate event. It happened. We're going to handle it the right way. Those two guys, they got to learn to be better. And that's how it's going to go. It wasn't none of, oh, well, I don't know, man. It's been really hard having to prepare a game plan, control these kids, walk into team meetings on a Thursday and look at the game plan and say, no, we're not doing that and all this stuff. It's just different, man. It's different. I think that's why me and you believe in what basketball is doing right now. So.
Yeah, I think it's a culture thing, Blake. I think
Yep.
it's a culture thing, mindset. Like you've built a culture of winning, so you have that to fall back on. It's you've built the foundation, and you can do everything. You can do everything. There's so much that goes into this, man. It's like, yes, people have been doing the whole Harsin versus Hugh the record comparison, and it's just not fair from the standpoint of like Harsin got fired because of his record combined with his lack of recruiting. Like you're not telling the whole story when you do that. Hugh has bought some time, and I don't know if trust and faith is the right word, but like you can look at it and say, well, man, he's crushing recruiting. He's bringing in talent. He's trying.
Yep.
And I'm not trying to bring back up the Harsin and do all that, but I'm just that's the thing that's been going around. So the point I'm making is there's a lot that goes into being a football coach. You got 85 guys you got to control. All this, I get it. I get it. There's a lot going on there. But you can do everything right Monday through Friday. I don't think that the previous two coaches were doing that.
Yep.
I think in a lot of ways Hugh is, but man, when the lights come on, the results are all that matter. It's why you'll never see me and Blake do power rankings in week 10.
Yeah, stupid.
Because who cares?
Yeah.
The record speaks for itself at this point. Your record's all that matters to me at this point. I don't need power rankings past week 3 to be real with you, because like at this point you've got a whole sample size. I see what you are. So if you're Hugh, man, look, 5-7 wouldn't be great, but man, if he could find a way to beat A&M or Alabama, it'd go a long way for him in the offseason, I think.
He better do something, because I tell you, people are tired of losing.
It's a fact.
So he better do something. And I've taken up for him as much as anybody, and I don't want to see him get fired. That's why he's got to win Saturday, right?
Yeah.
But you got to make something shake, man. You can't keep going out like this, and then people questioning your enthusiasm. Like they're questioning a lot of things. Like I see one of the comments over here. Jonathan says we got 3 people calling plays during a damn game. Who does that?
I've got that star. Let's
Like,
talk about this, Blake. Jonathan says, I truly believe Nick's called Kentucky game mostly. Hugh's play calling is pass heavy. That's not a good ball control offense. I really hope Hugh turns the play calling over to someone for good. So, yeah, yet again, Blake, here we are asking ourselves who's really calling the plays during an Auburn football game. I thought we were done with this.
the other day he said, I've always had a 3rd and long play caller. What? He said, this isn't anything new. I've had this since my days back at Ole Miss. Bro, what are we doing? This, I don't know. I don't get it. I really don't. I just think it's a whole lot of confusion. I thought it would be better this year. I was wrong. I knew that Derek Nix thing wasn't he wasn't the offensive coordinator. It's just what he was hired as, right?
Yeah.
We knew he wasn't going to be doing a whole lot. But now here we are. You're saying that we got 3 people calling plays in the middle of the game. You always have you ever noticed one thing that's crazy is Hugh is always in on the scoring drives.
Yeah.
When Auburn scores, it's Hugh's. Oh, I called that drive. The same thing he did last year. Remember in the Cal? Well, I called the game winner.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on, man. What are we doing? It's just old.
Fire Freeze says, I can see a world where their defense outscores our offense. Yeah, man. I mean, that possibility definitely does exist. Jonathan says, hopefully we win this game, but is Hugh's job in jeopardy this year if we lose this one? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you lose to Louisiana Monroe and you finish 3-9, then I'm here to tell y'all that I will officially say, hey, it's time. Like I'll stand on that. Like 3-9, it will never ever be acceptable at Auburn. And 3-9, and one of those losses being to Louisiana Monroe. Yeah, I'm not sitting here tonight saying Hugh Freeze needs to be fired.
Yeah.
If you lose this game Saturday and then you lose out, I'll still say, hey man, like you got 2 games left. But if that happens, yeah, buddy, he's gonna be in a whole world of trouble. And if you think, man, if you think this recruiting class is gonna stay together if you lose this game, I just don't know. I just don't know. Fire Freeze says White has been doing scout team all year. How much of the offense has he learned at this point? Yeah, I mean, I'll say this, Blake. This is why I'm not saying start him. I'm just saying if you're up big in the fourth quarter, then I would hope that at this point in the season, there's enough he's worked on that he could go in a game and run versus a Sunbelt team up by 30.
Well, how much did your 5th-year starter know? Because you had to shrink the playbook for him.
Yeah.
So, what's the difference? Where are we at? What's the difference of a 5th-year guy who you had to simplify things, and all you told us was it's going to be better? Y'all, there is helmet comm in his ear. He's 5 years deep, and he's still looking at the sideline going, oh, man. I'm sorry. It's over. I don't want to see him. Look, it's no ill will towards him. I hope he succeeds in life. I hope he does great things. I just don't even want to see him dress out the last 3 games for Auburn. That's where I'm at this point. Give me somebody else. And if we lose, we lose. But I want to go down losing with somebody else.
Well, here's my thing with that too. Let's say that Hank Brown doesn't play well over these next 3 games. Well, then you've answered a question you would have in the offseason. Like you've answered and I wouldn't say I'm not saying you would completely give up on Hank Brown. I personally think that this offensive scheme and system is broken, and I don't know if even a game changing type quarterback could fix all of the issues with this. He could probably mask them, but there's some things I think that are going on that would go on regardless of who was quarterback. Quarterback has nothing to do with taking a timeout with 2:01 left in the game and not knowing the 2-minute warning exists. That has nothing to do with
the game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and not knowing the rule as far as leaping and all that. That has nothing to do with your quarterback. But let's say Hank Brown plays really, really bad for these 3 games. He doesn't look good. Well, then you would sit there and say, well, okay, man, we got a pretty big sample size on Hank Brown. Like we got something to look at here. You know what I'm saying? So like you would go a long way in answering that question, and then you're eliminating one more quarterback question going into the offseason, or at least hey, he can't be our guy. Like we can't hang our hat on him. And Auburn's not gonna do that anyway. They're gonna pay money and go get a big portal guy. But I just think it would be. Hugh talked about big picture in the press conference this week. Like big picture wise, let's see what you have in Hank Brown these remaining 3 games, because you're not saving the season. You know what you've got in Peyton Thorne. Like what would be the point? And he's banged up. Like is it? Yeah.
My thing too is why didn't Hank receive the same treatment that Peyton received? I'm big on this. Okay, so when Hank got his start, he had the bad first half against Arkansas. We were still in the game, and he got pulled. So why didn't Hank receive the same treatment? Because when watching, when watching Peyton Thorne in that Vanderbilt game, did you have hope that we were going to beat Vanderbilt in that second half? I didn't. I thought we were in a good spot because we were shutting Pavia down, but I was like, man, our offense, like, we just can't move the ball. So why didn't Hank receive the same treatment? Why didn't Hank get an opportunity to go back in and say, hey, let's change something up? Maybe Hank Brown can move the ball against Vandy's defense. Where's the same treatment? That's why I always come to, I think NIL has a major part to do with some of this stuff. And I think NIL is eventually going to get some coaches fired because they live or die on it. And I think, I love NIL. I love the transfer portal. I'm pro player. I love it all, man. I'll take the player side any day of the week. But as a coach, man, there has to be a fine line, in my opinion, where you have to make the business decision. I don't care if you invested in this kid.
Right.
Like, give me the same energy. If Hank Brown can go in and create a spark, then make it happen. Because there's no way you watched Peyton in that Vanderbilt game and thought that he was going to create a spark in the second half. No way. None. I don't get it, man.
Blake, once he missed Cam Coleman deep, he missed him by 3 yards short, and then he's on the sideline doing this. It's like, hey, I don't even think he can physically get the ball there. Like,
Yep.
I don't even think he can physically do it. So. Yep. Yeah, I'm with you. But we're here now, and I think that the best thing to do moving forward, like I said, my keys to the game is just play as many of these young guys as you can. That includes Hank Brown at quarterback. I would love to be in the situation where even if it's a limited package type thing, just zone reads, that kind of thing, I would love to see Walker White get some run. I want to get some more of these comments. I do want to touch on Auburn's commitment of the day. And then we'll give our score predictions. Fisher James coming in with a positivity tonight says we ain't done yet. You are correct. We're only 3 games into the basketball season. There's a whole lot more to go. So no, we're not done yet.
What's up, Fisher?
Just getting started. Kirk says War Damn Eagle checking in. We appreciate you. Justin saying I'm late. Hey, we're just glad you're here, brother. Appreciate you being a member, helping support this pod. You guys are the backbone, keeping the lights on. Jonathan Hubbard says, recruiting shouldn't save a job. Just about anyone could recruit well at Auburn with NIL and our resources. I wouldn't say just about anybody. I've been really hard on Hugh Freeze, like anybody who's been watching the games has been with his in-game coaching and whatever the hell this offense is this year. But I'm going to be fair, and I'm going to stand by what I said as far as, and you have to trust me on some of this, Jonathan. Like, this guy he knows how to recruit, man. He just knows how to recruit. He knows how to build relationships. There's a lot of stuff he's done that he just knows what he's doing on the recruiting trail. But to your point, with the NIL and with the resources, right now, on to victory is definitely a big part of Auburn still having a top 5 class at 3-6. So I'm not on here saying that all these kids are coming to Auburn just for the money. But, like, you're going to keep Deuce Knight away from Ole Miss. It's going to cost more money than you originally anticipated because they're 7-2 and just beat Georgia, and you're 3-6. And that just is what it is. But shout out to On to Victory for having it all together. Shout out to everybody behind the scenes at Auburn, because we know in the past that hasn't always been the case. Things have not always been aligned and organized behind the scenes. But from everything that me and Blake hear, it is. Everything's lock in step. And so many things are being done the right way at Auburn. Unfortunately, when they kick the damn ball off, you see what it is. It's just not good. So, yeah. But I do agree with you, Jonathan. Recruiting shouldn't save a job. And that's why no matter, even if he finishes the year out 3-3, I still think that next year would be a thing. But if this year finishes the way we think it's going to, he's definitely going to start the season next year on the hot seat. And if the losses start piling in year 3, no one's going to be talking about recruiting. So yeah, I'm not trying to say that everything's fine because he's recruiting well. Fully acknowledge and do not accept, do not condone what's going on the field. But he does deserve credit because his efforts in recruiting and just some of the stories I hear about like the way he does it and the way he builds relationships, he is a dog on the trail. So I got to give him credit for that.
Hmm.
But I
Better
agree with
pick
this
it
too.
up.
Yeah, for sure. Fire Free says 4-8 is not acceptable at Auburn with a home loss of Andy. I agree. I agree. I'm not. Look,
Hmm.
what I'm saying is, I look 4-8 is not acceptable. I know it's just a one game difference in 3-9. To me, 3-9 is like you got to get fired type thing, and 4-8 is like you're starting next year. You're starting next year because it's year two, and it's just one of the things where you just fire the last guy after a year and a half. Just
Hmm.
from a national perception, you got to give Hugh 3 years, right? Like, don't you just have to? Just from the media
And,
gonna run
and
with the whole crazy Auburn narrative and all that if you fire him.
unless he lost
Right,
Saturday,
right.
but like here's the thing: we had the last time we were trying to find a coach after we fired Gus, right? You had coaches come out and say, "Man, I don't want to go to Auburn. I don't want to go there because they hired coaches and then they fire them. They hire them, they're there a couple years, they fire them. So you're not doing yourself any favors. I asked people who would want to come to Auburn, and people are like, "Well, what's his name, Signetti up in Indiana?" I'm like, "Yo, he's
Mm-hmm.
almost 70 years old." Like, I mean, no offense if you're 70 years old watching the show, but
Yeah,
that's, I mean, look at Nick Saban. Nick Saban got to that age and he was like, "Hey, man, I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm ready to go. Like, I don't want to do this anymore." So what do we? Who would come to Auburn? Would Rhett Lashley leave SMU to come to Auburn? I don't know because they got hella money out there in Dallas, Texas.
right.
I think you got to keep him.
Yeah, for sure. Can always call my guy Urban Meyer. Before we get into our score predictions, Blake, Shamar Ono, 3-star DB out of Carrollton, Georgia, class of 2025. I forgot to put his measurables up here, but I know you like the fact that he is 6'1", 6'2", range, 175 pounds. You lost a player that you wanted to keep in the class in Dante Core. There's no sugarcoating that. That's not like some mutual parting of the ways type thing. But you had another guy come in Shamar Noor. Now you're trying to keep Donovan Starr. I know Georgia, Tennessee. I mean, excuse me, Georgia, Bama, and even Vanderbilt is trying to flip him. You're trying to keep him in the class. But I did the film breakdown for our members, so we'll have that up for you guys in a day or two. I did that before we hit record here. I think what stood out to me was what kind of stands out to me to every recruit in this class. He's just really, really physical. And I think that he could put on 10, 15 more pounds. I talked to somebody from that Georgia area today, somebody that knows a whole lot about recruiting and I trust a lot. And he told me he's seen Samar play multiple times in person. He told me he could see that him moving maybe to a safety spot as he gets further along into his career. And then on the film, I was kind of looking for that, and there were some plays where they put him in the box, and he was getting into the running back and making the tackles in the run game and everything. So, but in man coverage, I was really impressed with him. He playing outside corner, man coverage. He was very physical in the bump and run and stuff like that. So he could very well play outside corner. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, Blake, big, 3-star, but. I think that I trust, like we talked about before, I trust Coach Crime Dog. If Crime is signing a 1-star at DB, then I'm saying, well, everybody else missed. That's just kind of where I'm at with him. And then Carrollton is a powerhouse there in Georgia right now. They've got a ton of guys in the 26, 27 class that Auburn wants to get in the boat, so they're kind of playing that relationship game as well. Just continuing to add to this class, Blake, continuing to get commitments despite the record on the field.
Yeah, and I think this is big after Dante Core flipped to Ole Miss. You get Shamar, and I love the fact that he's 6'1", 6'2". Like, I love big physical
Yeah.
DBs. I think that's the day and age that we are in. Because you're looking, hell, you just got a 6'6" wide receiver commitment
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
2 days ago. So and I feel like that pretty much locked in the Smith brothers to Auburn. So I think that had a lot of weight to it, and sorry for my daughter. She's in there screaming.
She's not.
It just scared the piss out of me. Uh, but tomorrow's Friday, so it's the end of the week.
Right.
So she's excited. But man, I think it is big time because a lot of people are like, "Oh, freeze warning when Dante flipped. They're freeze warning, freeze warning." Oh, they lost the commitment. Is this the guy that's going to break the class apart? And then bang, you flip one right back. So I think it's big time. You didn't lose any momentum. Your record is still what it is. People are questioning, can you hold it together? You're still doing the things that you need to do to hold this recruiting class together. So, um, big time energy from these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So, welcome to the class, Shamar Anor. Glad that you will be an Auburn Tiger. And about to give our score prediction, guys. But this kind of reminds me, and I don't want to forget. I gotta say this, Blake. Listen, early signing day is like 3 weeks away. So this is the point where there's last minute shuffling. There's going to be some shuffling, okay? Auburn's going to flip some guys. Some guys are going to get flipped from Auburn. All right? It's not cool to talk shit to teenagers on social media. Whether you cloak it under a joke or whatever. It's clown behavior. And I would just encourage everybody. And one thing I'll always push back on is people say, well, you do it and it makes Auburn fans look bad. I don't think it makes Auburn fans look bad. If anybody says Auburn fans are bad and all that kind of stuff, I will always point them to the night when Cadillac was the head coach for Texas A&M for like a 3-win football team and what that atmosphere is. Auburn fans are going to show up. They're going to support their team. They're some of the best, most loyal fans in the country. When you do that on social media, when you troll a high school kid, you just look like a dumbass. You're not reflecting Auburn fans in any kind of negative light. You just look like an idiot. If you're a grown man trolling a high school kid that's not even old enough to vote yet, probably just got his driver's license, his parents had to take him to the DMV to get it, and you're in your 30s and you're trolling, I have no respect for you. It's clown behavior, and for your own good, I would encourage you to not do it. And so I just had to get that off my chest because I know what's going to happen. And there's a lot of people out there that trolled Alvin Henderson when he committed to Penn State, and look how it went. And in the era of the transfer portal and everything else, I think it would be really dumb to just talk trash to a teenager for multiple reasons. But what if in 2 years things don't go right at the school that he's at? And he might want to come to the school that finished second in his recruitment. And also, let me tell you guys something. If you don't know this, it's hard. It's usually pretty hard. It's rare that a kid's like, this is my school and dream school and I get this offer and this is where I'm going. That's a rare thing, man. They build relationships up with multiple coaches. These coaches recruit them for years, and they build up relationships, and all these schools are good schools. Tennessee's a great school. Ole Miss is a great school. Bama's a great school. Georgia's a great school. All these coaches are good at what they do. The NIL packages are all really the same. They're close. Like no one's getting this much more than it's just, if you got the money, you got the money and you can pay it type thing. The big boys got the cash. So, it's tough. It's tough, and kids don't necessarily. They got to make a tough decision, and they might really like this coach, and they might really like this coach, and ultimately, they have their reasons for making the decision they make. So just understand that, And if you're trolling a kid because he's a 3-star, ask yourself, what were you ranked coming out of high school? Like it's just pretty goofy to me, Blake. And I had to get it off my chest because, what is it?
He ran a 4.4. When you're talking to somebody, that shit is hilarious to me, by the way. Like, people will be standing around. It happens on the job site. I mean, dude will be like, yeah, back when I was in high school, I ran a 4.4. I'm like, no, didn't.
No, you didn't.
I'm like, no, you didn't, bro. You don't even know how fast a 4.4 is. Like, stop.
I know you if you did. I know who you were.
Yeah, like, it's crazy when people start going there, man.
Yeah, I love it. So yeah, leave high school kids alone if you're a grown man. Let's use our heads out there. Score predictions, Blake. Score predictions: Auburn versus ULM. You want me to go first?
I'll give mine real quick. It's short and sweet. I think Auburn wins 35-6.
Ooh, I like that.
I think Auburn wins 35-6. I just don't think ULM's offense is capable of getting anything done on our defense. It's a team that has regressed throughout the season, and they can't figure it out at quarterback.
Yeah.
I just don't see how they move the ball on our defense, and I think our offense puts up enough to get the job done. So if they had a high flying offense, I would actually think this thing was a lot closer. But I just don't see our defense giving up big plays and chunk plays and things like that, man.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm gonna go 21-7. I'm gonna go
Mm.
21-7 Auburn, and I had wrote down 24-7, but then I thought, who the hell's kicking the field goal?
That's why I said 35. All right, don't get
Right.
it twisted.
Right. I said, who? Wait a minute. Who in the world's kicking the field goal? And listen, I thought about this today. I actually driving home on the way from work. This thought just hit me. I was like, man, we're gonna have to go get a kicker in the portal or something, aren't we? Because you don't know what's gonna happen with the health of McPherson,
Yep.
and you can't trust Magoo. Like you're gonna have to. A kicker all of a sudden is a big need that we started the season thinking we got this locked up. We're good to go. And now McPherson plays one game, and all of a sudden these flare ups, and I just don't know if he's going to be good, man. I hate saying that, and I'm praying for him and everything like that, but I just we're going to have to get a kicker.
Yeah, and people look. It's a position that's really overlooked because if you had a kicker this year, you probably got 2 or 3 more wins on your
Mm.
record right now. So it's put us behind the 8 ball. But I don't want to hear any of this about how Towns has the yips or he just can't get it right. Look, y'all, his only job is to kick. And I could see if he missed like 2 or 3 in a row and then he got it back on track. He hasn't been on track all year.
All right.
It's been ugly. They're not barely misses. Okay. It's a catastrophe, is what it is. Right off the foot. It's bad. As soon as he hits it, you can hear the contact and know that he missed it. That's how bad it's been. So, yes, I think you got to either go get a big time portal guy and also bring one in through recruiting, man. Like, you got to have some options next year because, yeah, Alex is the unknown. We don't know.
Yeah, I hate it. I hate it for him, man. Come out your freshman year, you're perfect. Perfect your freshman year, SEC
Yep.
kicker. That's crazy, bro. And then to have this happen, it's just really unfortunate. I hate
How
it
do you
for
feel
him.
about Towns, though? Like, he went perfect in the A-Day game. He was banging them.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it's like the Monstars come down and took his talent. And I don't know, man. Like, I hate it for him. But how do you – where do you go? Who do
Yeah, you
you know?
you you can't because you can't come into next year with him being the guy again and then being like it's going to be better. He's got it worked out because then if he comes out and misses the first 2 or 3, it's like, bro, you're just going to look so ridiculous. So I
Okay,
just
so
it's tough, man.
what happens if you come out with him next year and you're in a 3-point game at Baylor week 1?
Yeah.
Is there any confidence that Towns Magoo's trotting out there? I'm not confident about it, and I
Yeah.
hate that because I think he's a great kid, man. But
Yeah, no, you gotta address it for sure. And all these close games, Blake, and you've been terrible at special teams. Like penalties on kick returns, getting pinned. We've talked about that all year. We keep getting pinned. They punt it to us. We never have a return. We're somehow starting. Our bad offense has to start every drive with 95 yards to go. Like we're just not making the plays on special teams. It's putting us behind the chains. All kind of stuff. It's just been a problem all year. That's definitely one of the staff changes you're gonna have to see in the offseason. I would love it
facts.
if Auburn was like, hey, we're gonna go find a special teams guy and put him in charge of this, and this is his whole role, and just fix this, man. Fix this.
Shout out Jake Crane. I don't know what the Daily Wire is paying you, brother, but Auburn's about to have a special teams coordinator job open up. Why don't you come on down and fix this thing, brother? Fix it. Do whatever we got to do. I know you would love that. I think we would love it, but we got to figure it out. Jake's the guy.
Hey, I think Ben's paying him pretty good, so Auburn's going to have to pony up. But hey, there's one thing I do know: Jake Crane he'd take the job serious. Brett says AU is dead last in the SEC in starting field position.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it. And then Karen says, I don't know, Pops. Anyone but Irvin. And Pops come back and says, I'm not a fan either, Karen. But Dusty hit me with that 80+ win percentage of his. Jay's like, yeah, man, yeah.
You know what's crazy about that too is I saw it in an Auburn Facebook group the other day, and this guy was like, anybody but Urban Meyer, I wouldn't support that shit for nothing. And I was like, so you wouldn't support Auburn winning national championships? You wouldn't support that? Because I damn sure would. I don't give a damn what he did in his past. I really don't. And if you're an Auburn fan out there, you can't say that either because you hired Hugh Freeze. So it's like, what are you even talking about? It is what it is. So I don't care what anybody did in their past. It's over. It's done. That was years ago. Let it go. I just want Auburn to get back to winning, and I want it to be with Hugh Freeze. But if it's not, hey, give me something. Give me a winner, man. Give me a winner.
Yeah. If you wouldn't support Urban Meyer, then you would just be Squidward and that SpongeBob meme, and we would all be SpongeBob and Patrick running around having a good time while you sat up in your house upset. Real quick, guys, like we said, we talked about, I recorded the member pod today looking at, I'm trying to find it, here we go. Member pod today looking at Shamar Norris. Still got to do the film review of the 6'6" twin brother of Eric Smith out there at Southside Selma. I'll be doing that for you guys. So we got a new basketball recruit. Got to do the film breakdown on him. You got to do a couple of watch the films on Auburn basketball. Going to be pumping out the basketball content as the boys get rolling. Top 5 basketball team, man. Love to see it. Really excited as the year goes on here, Blake. To talk about some damn winning. We get to talk about some winning on the hardwood. Excited about that. So if you're interested in some of our exclusive content, if the 2 to 3 shows is just not enough for you every week, you want more up-tempo podcasts, sign up. $3.99 a month for the JV squad, $5.99 a month for the varsity squad. Pumping out this content for you guys, man. Sorry about the technical difficulties earlier in the week. Weren't able to get some of these pods out to you, but they are coming. So love you guys. Appreciate you guys that always support us. It means a lot to us. And we'll be back Sunday. Hopefully no basketball game this weekend. That sucks. We won't tip it off again until Monday. But we'll be back Sunday. Hopefully it's a victory pod. And you know how we do. If Auburn gets the dub, we will come on, and it will be a book session. We celebrate every win, regardless of opponent. That's just how we get down. You got to celebrate the wins when you get them, baby. So hopefully we're back Sunday morning talking about a win, Blake. Hopefully some of these guys, Perry and some of these young cats, get involved and make some big plays. Love you guys. Appreciate you. We'll see y'all, man.
We're down.